Well, hi, everybody. I'm Don Stewart, and welcome to our second edition of Breaking News for this Wednesday, the 15th day of October, 2025. And the situation with Israel and Hamas is getting more complicated by the hour. Earlier, Hamas said it will transfer bodies of two more hostages to the Red Cross. That will make a total of nine. We assume that's already been done. This is from YNET News. And then from the Jerusalem Post, Netanyahu said, Hamas must disarm or all hell will break loose. He told that also to CBS News by way of the Jerusalem Post. And then rebuilding Gaza. This is from the United Arab Emirates and the Jewish News Syndicate. How much is it going to cost? It's going to cost more than $120 billion, billion with a B. When I go through the timing of this and the cost, it's extraordinary. So, boy, I tell you, it's wild the things that are happening right now. Okay, this first one is a huge story. Hamas said it will transfer bodies of two hostages to the Red Cross. This is from YNET. Terror group says returned all living hostages and all bodies it could access. Get that. As Red Cross prepares to receive two Israeli hostage remains, the group claims 19 other bodies are out of reach and require special equipment to retrieve. So, in other words, the nine that total that which they'll have right now, Israel, assuming these are bodies of hostages that were murdered, there's still 19 more they need to retrieve. Hamas announced Wednesday night that would hand over the bodies of two Israeli hostages to the Red Cross at 10 p.m. local time. About an hour later, the terrorist group claimed it had returned all living hostages to Israel, along with the remains of all deceased hostages. Quote, it is currently able to access. The International Committee of the Red Cross was reportedly en route to the collection point. The statement suggests that Hamas is holding the remains of 19 hostages it says are not currently within reach. The group's armed wing said the retrieving of the remaining bodies would require significant effort and special equipment. In a joint statement, the IDF, Israeli Defense Force, and the Shin Bet said, according to the received intelligence, the Red Cross is en route to a meeting point in northern Gaza where several coffins containing the remains of hostages will be handed over. The IDF urges the public to act with sensitivity and await official identification, which will first be provided to the families, of course, of the hostages. Hamas is obligated to uphold the agreement and make every necessary effort to return the bodies of the hostages. All right. Now, President Donald Trump, he told CNN today that he would allow Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to resume the war in Gaza if Hamas refuses to uphold its part of the ceasefire agreement. According to Trump, Israel will return to those streets as soon as I say the word. What's going on with Hamas? That will be straightened out quickly. Israeli authorities have been preparing throughout the day for what would be the third return of hostage remains from the Gaza Strip for burial in Israel. Initial assessments that Israel indicated Hamas would release two bodies, though Qatar al-Arabiya TV later reported that five could be handed over. Again, we don't know. We get so many conflicting stories here. However, according to Hamas's official statement, only two would be transferred Wednesday night. At the start of negotiations, Hamas claimed it was aware of the whereabouts of at least 14 bodies, while Israeli defense officials insisted the terror groups knows the location of many more. Hamas reportedly had planned on Tuesday to return a small number of hostage remains on Wednesday. There had also been speculated that the group might hand over more than expected, possibly as compensation for transferring the body of a Palestinian instead of that of an Israeli hostage. So here it is. Nine have been transferred over, assuming the two tonight are identified. We got to wait for the identification that they are Israeli because of the four that were transferred yesterday. Three of them were Israeli, and one was a Palestinian dressed up in an Israeli military uniform. So that would make 19 to go. Hamas does know where they're all at, but evidently they're difficult to get to or they can't reach them for whatever reason. So we'll see where that happens. But Trump has had it. He's basically said, they have to complete the deal. This is part of the deal. And if they don't, Israel's going to take to the streets again in Gaza and finish them off. So this is something that is, well, it's real dicey right now, as you can imagine. Now, according to the Jerusalem Post and CBS News, Netanyahu told them Hamas must disarm because it's another issue, or all hell will break loose. Not only return the bodies of the 19 more deceased hostages, but they have to disarm, or all hell will break loose. Netanyahu stated that disarming Hamas is the next critical step and following the return of 20 living hostages, echoing President Trump's warning of swift action if Hamas refuses. He said that the demands from him and U.S. President Donald Trump are very clear, and Hamas must disarm and demilitarize or all hell breaks loose. in a Tuesday interview with CBS Morning's co-host Tony DeCouple. We agreed to give peace a chance, he said, commenting on now that the 20 remaining living hostages have been returned, disarmament and demilitarization must come next. First, Hamas must give up its arms, and second, you want to make sure there are no weapon factories inside of Gaza. There's no smuggling of weapons into Gaza. That's demilitarization, the prime minister said. Trump issued similar warnings earlier on Tuesday. Hamas terrorists rejected the demand to disarm and demilitarize, which led Trump to issue a warning that if the terror group does not disarm, then we will disarm them. And it will happen quickly and perhaps violently, but they will disarm. Netanyahu told CBS that he heard Trump's comments and paraphrased them as all hell breaks loose. He said, I hope it doesn't. None of us want to see this. I hope we can do it peacefully. We are certainly ready to do so, Netanyahu commented. An Israeli diplomat told the Jerusalem Post on Thursday that while phase one included the return of all hostages, phase two generally aims to demilitarize Gaza and preliminarily establish a temporary Palestinian government. Since the 20 living hostages were released, Hamas terrorists have transferred the bodies of 8 deceased hostages, and yet followed by 4 as yet unidentified hostages that remains from Tuesday night. Netanyahu met with recently fired freed hostages at Rabin Medical Center, Billingson campus with his wife Sarah, where they told them he had kept his promise to bring them back to Israel. He said, I promised to bring them home. We brought them home. He said the hostages who were freed after 2 years in Hamas captivity with the same determination, we are working to return the fallen. We will spare no effort or resources to bring them back. And like we said, it's very important, Israelis in particular, to have the bodies returned of their loved ones who've died. Burial was always important in the Old Testament. The burial took place the same day a person died, if all humanly possible. It was something that, it was respected. They treated the bodies with respect, and particularly the loved ones. You can imagine, have been there for 2 years, been murdered by Hamas, or some of them sadly were there, held captive and murdered while they're in captivity. And so they want their remains back. They want to have a funeral for some type of closure there. So sooner or later, they're going to get them back. And Trump and Netanyahu are not playing, but also the demilitarization and the disarmament. They have to disarm all their weapons. They have to make sure there's no weapons factories there, no hidden weapons there in Gaza. You also got the terror tunnels, too, that have to be taken care of because there's weapons hidden there. And that's going to take a while to get done. So we're trying to get into phase two, but the end of phase one still hasn't happened with the remaining deceased hostages. But now rebuilding Gaza, get this, it could cost more than 120 billion, that's with a B, dollars from the Jewish news syndicate. An Emirati news outlet has assessed the projected cost of reconstructing the Gaza Strip's infrastructure and housing. The Emirati website Aram News on Wednesday reported estimates regarding the cost and time frame for Gaza's reconstruction. Hamas claims the damage to key sectors amounts to $70 billion, while the central bank estimates that $53 billion will be needed for recovery and rebuilding. Experts predict, now get this, that clearing the rubble alone could take between 10 and 15 years to clear the rubble alone, including, they noted if Israel's restrictions on heavy engineering equipment remain in place, rebuilding all homes could take as long as how long? 80 years. It's 80. Current estimates in the Strip indicate this amount now is mind-boggling. The tons of debris, between 51 and 61 million tons of debris. 51 and 61 million tons of debris, including unexploded ordnance, must be removed. The cleanup cost is estimated at 1.2 billion, with the process expected to take about a decade. In total, around 300,000 housing units were destroyed, representing 60% of Gaza's 500,000 homes. In this context, Arab diplomats confirmed that following the recent international summit in Sharm el-Sheikh, preparations are underway for meetings between Arab and European leaders in the near future. These discussions will focus on reconstruction plans and the condition for securing financial donations. Diplomatic sources said the central issue in these talks is funding, which will determine the extent of each country's participation. They emphasize that the discussions are not primarily about technical or logistical details, but rather about ensuring stability in Gaza through the establishment of an internationally accepted governing body. The success of any rebuilding plan depends on the establishment of a stable governing authority in Gaza after removing Hamas from power, the report said. The countries involved wanted to ensure that the security situation in Gaza stabilizes, and here's the key, with no risk of renewed conflict with Israel or internal fighting. Now, let me tell you, that's a big ask. Okay. So much going on. It's hard to even comprehend, isn't it? The lack of return of the deceased hostages, Hamas's refusal to disarm, and the threats from Trump and Netanyahu, if they don't disarm right away. And then, of course, the time and the cost of rebuilding. In other words, the whole drama is not ending. In fact, it's just beginning. Stay with us for the latest. We will keep you posted here every day. We do, if you're new to us, again, breaking news, we do it 7 days a week, every day, twice a day. We've been doing it for 2 years now, a little over 2 years since the October 7th massacre. And we've only missed a handful of days. You can probably count them on one hand. We had power go out here a couple times where we couldn't do it. And then, of course, I got sick one day. But besides that, we've been able to do what we want to continue to do because we want to bring you the latest. This is our ministry. Again, our website, Educating Our World, where all our resources are. 12 books on last days, well, 12 books on Bible prophecy, not just last days, 65 books altogether on 11 topics about the Christian faith, God, the Bible, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, the afterlife, the church, the Bible and science. They're all there for you. They're all free download, and please take advantage of them. They're there for your edification so you can know what you believe, why you believe, as well as how you can live the Christian life. We have a series on Christian living also. So please take advantage of them. Thank you for telling others about the resources too, because we want to get them out to the world. They're all free. There's no obligation. So thank you ahead of time for praying for us, for taking advantage of the resources we have and spreading the word, the good news of Jesus Christ, the one way to get to the one God. I'm Don Stewart. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you tomorrow again with another edition of Breaking News. Until then, as always, may the Lord richly, richly bless.